In this video, I'm going to go over some of the best tips if you are currently a footballer who's trying to make it as a pro. I've been reflecting a lot about my experience in my Road to Pro series on YouTube. I really wanted to make this video as best as possible and fill it with as many golden nuggets as I possibly could. If you're new here, my name's Luke. I documented my journey to professional football for about 3 years, and I was playing for 16 years of my life, so quite a while. I ultimately quit because I just fell out of love with the game. But before this, I did get the opportunity to go abroad and be with 2 pro teams, one in USA and one in Japan. The first section of this video is going to be directly on football, and the second is going to be on wider life skills and experience. So if you have quit football, you know how to adapt these skills and broaden them into the wider areas of life. Something that I really struggled with was who I was after I quit football. So if you can know how to adapt yourself to outside of just football, you're going to be on the path to success. Number one for inside of football is going to be hard work. You should have seen it coming realistically, because if you're not willing to put in the hard work, you're not going to make it anywhere. Me personally, I used to train up to 4 times a day. Some days I'd wake up at 4 AM just to go train before school, before college, whatever I was doing. Even on my days off, outside of school, outside of college, I would still wake up at 4 AM. Anywhere the latest is usually about 7 AM. You don't have to do this. I'm not telling you to go wake at 4 AM because it is a bit ridiculous. It was just so I could get those extra training sessions in. And when you look at other inspirations who have made it pro, even outside of football, people like Kobe Bryant, who famously said that he got up at 4 AM to go and train, you probably think you should be doing that. If you're not willing to work hard, honestly, this is brutal, but just give up. Doing inside of team training is not going to be enough. Number 2 is confidence, mentality. I was much better in my head than I was on the field, but over time that changed, and I was much better on the field than I was in my head. Mentality is everything in sport. Look at how many players' careers go down the drain just because they don't have a solid head screwed into their shoulders. For me, growing up, I thought I was a lot better than I was in my younger years, and as I got older, my ability really started to skyrocket, but also my confidence took a really big hit. Now, that was because of some external factors, which we don't need to get into in this video, but yeah, your mentality is everything. If you can set some time aside to have some positive self-talk, some meditation, some reflection, some game analysis, what else can you do? Some visualization. Sit there and actually imagine yourself, okay, I'm going through the motion now, I'm mid-game, I'm a winger, so I'm attacking a player, I'm throwing a step over, I'm cutting in, I'm taking a shot and it goes in, I am going to score this game. Just there, in that 10 seconds, I visualized what I'm going to do. Right then in my head, I was visualizing the stadium I'm playing in, the defender that's stopping me, and then scoring a goal and saying it out loud. Positive self-talk is huge. I think for me, documenting my journey to pro, 2 biggest things was hard work and mentality. Just knowing that I'm going to go and train tomorrow and I'm going to get up at 4 AM, and that isn't going to make the difference. Tomorrow, I'm not going to get a pro contract, but over time, doing that repetition after repetition is what's going to separate you from the majority, and you're going to get that pro contract. Number 3 is networking. You can work as hard as you like. You can be as confident as Ibrahimovic and Ronaldo combined. But if no one knows who you are, there's no point, mate. You might as well quit. LinkedIn is the go, or at least it was when I was playing seriously, because no one was really on it. No one really knew about it, and it was such an easy way to get through to the coaches. Being totally honest, obviously I've been out of the game since about 2022, 2023, so I'm sure it is still great. Hop on LinkedIn, connect with some coaches, some scouts, some talent agents, whoever you want to talk to on there in football. Someone I used to be friends with when I was along this journey doing my Road to Pro, he actually sent Peter Cech a connection invite on LinkedIn. He accepted and sent my mate some training equipment. So you never know who you're like one connection away from. It's quite crazy. Get on LinkedIn, start messaging people as much as possible, post your training clips, your match clips, anything to show that you are working hard. Obviously, match clips are going to really set you apart. If you can put together a highlight tape and a CV, send that through to the coach's inbox, that is going to set you aside from most people. What I like to think when I'm contacting coaches is, what's the easiest way I can contact them with the least friction possible? So this is really skewed, yeah, but imagine it's a graph. I might have to put something on screen here. So right in this bottom corner is the ways that you can get through to a coach that is the hardest to obtain and has the most friction, sorry, not the least. So something that's okay, probably sits around and about here, is sending them an email. You know, it's not the hardest in the world to obtain, but that's the exact reason why it's so rigid, is because everyone has their email. I think you'd be surprised the amount of players, anyone that send, or even just parents that think their kids are really good, that send their son themselves to their email, you're just getting flooded in with hundreds of emails a day, especially if it's like an academy manager. So although that's an easy, good way to contact them, so many other people are doing it, so it doesn't really make you stand out. You can have the best highlight tape in the world, but the coach might not even open your email. Whereas somewhere that would be really good and sits all the way up here in terms of it's really easy to get through to them and there's also least friction would be LinkedIn. Literally all you've got to do is sign up, make an account, and then click like the connect button or whatever it's called. Boom. Done. Sure, you've got to wait for them to accept it and hope they accept it, but you can still, in most cases, send people a message before your connections on LinkedIn. I mean, if you want to go the extra step, you could tag them in posts and things like that, or like get mutual connections of them, but then you can hop in their inbox, which most people aren't actually doing. Here, you can contact them personally, you can ask them for advice, you can send them your highlight tape, you can just speak to them about whatever you want, whatever opportunity you're hoping to get. This, like I said, would be easiest to get through to them, least friction possible. So do that. Network. Number 4 is be different from the average player. And I'm not talking in terms of put on loads of muscle in the gym because no one else has it. I'm not saying, improve your weak foot because everyone else is only one-footed. They're great things to do, but what can you do that's outside of the box? It's not always the easiest to come up with, but this is really where you get your bonus points. For me, this is really why I believe I got those 2 pro opportunities, because don't get me wrong, I was never a bad footballer growing up, but I just played for fun, like Sunday league with your mates type of vibes. It was only when I turned like 14 where I ever thought like maybe I want to become a pro, and then from there the years following was when I started to train a lot more seriously. But then when you think there's boys who played counties since young, there's boys who have been in serious academy setups since young, you don't really stand a chance. So the differences of me sitting down here today with me and you on this camera is genuinely what I believe set me apart. When I started doing social media, there was not really many people that were doing this whole road to pro thing. Now if you go on TikTok, there's hundreds of accounts, mate, and it's so hard to stand out. So if you can think to do something that is going to make you stand out, genuinely me posting these road to pro videos that I did back in the day, like I said, no one else was really doing it. That really gave me like the upper hand on most players. Instantly, that's social proof. As humans, we want to be part of the pack. We've got a herd mentality. So if you can do something to stand out, set you aside from the rest, you're going to be miles clear of them. I mean, that led to me getting sent free training equipment. That led to me getting invited to football matches to watch people play, or even play myself, to showcase games, highlight matches, go and connect with people who you'd never think you could ever be in the same room as. Ben Foster, like the ex-Man United, Watford, England keeper, the guy who documents on YouTube and now has a podcast, used to watch my videos. Like, that's the sort of difference that we're talking about here. I'm not saying this just to try and big myself up, but no one else was doing this back in the day. That's truly what I believe was the final little pin for me to get contacted by Japan and USA and say, do you want to come out and trial for our team? If I wasn't doing this YouTube stuff, they wouldn't have known I existed. I would have just been like every other player. Right, let's move on to outside of football now. So this is going to be for people who've maybe quit the sport. Maybe you're just looking for a plan of how you can develop your career, or if you're carrying on playing football maybe, but you just want to have fun outside. You want to like get as far as you can outside of football. I think that makes sense. So number 1, leverage your perceived position of power. That is huge. I basically just spoke about it in the last point, I'll be honest, but if you can take all the contacts, all of the clubs, the coaches you've played with during your playing career, you don't know who they know. You'll genuinely be surprised. To put this into perspective, here are some of my connections. I'm now connected with Simon Squibb, who's the What's Your Dream guy on social media. I'm 2 connections away from Donald Trump. I know that's a bit irrelevant and he's a very controversial character, but just shows the power of your perceived position. Ben Foster, as I said, used to watch my videos, and I'm anywhere from 1 or 2 connections away with most of the UK YouTube scene, like KSI, Mini Mentor, all the big dogs. I've got someone that works at TikTok that I've spoken to, so if my account ever gets in trouble, hopefully he could help me out. And then there's a load of people just behind the scenes that aren't exactly like public figures that you know the name, but they've either got a lot of status in their own fields, they've got a lot of power, or they've got a lot of money. And it might seem a bit complicated at first, but there's no reason why you can't ask. If you have quit football, what field do you want to go into? Okay, ask your coach, just tell them. They might just say good luck, but they also might know someone who can help you. Number 2, quitting does not mean you failed, it means you've evolved. For me, it was a bit of a straw to clutch onto that I got offered Portland Timbers 2 in Japan, because I did feel like a bit of a failure for quite a while, especially because I documented it so publicly. And like everyone in my life knew, like even like primary school friends who I haven't spoken to, like everyone was laughing at me. But it doesn't matter. Like, I've put myself out there, I've given something my all, and now I'm just back in the same position as everyone else would have been anyway. So you haven't exactly failed. You've gone out there, you've given it your best, you've learned, you've tried. Sure, you've failed along the way, but ultimately when you decide to quit, if you do, you've evolved. Keep that in mind. Number 3, identity is a dangerous game when it becomes too narrow. Look, I know if you're currently playing football, you won't want to hear this, but if you are, it is so important that it doesn't become your entire life. For me, waking up at 4 a.m, doing up to 4 sessions a day, when I stepped away from football, it was difficult, mate. I joined my first team when I was just 4 years old. After 16 years quitting, I was like, what do I do, mate? Who even am I? I mean, everyone, my whole life, every person you can possibly think of, they would have thought, that's Luke, he plays football. That's who I was. I was the footballer. So stepping away from that became so challenging. And I still have had, even this year, big problems with my identity, like a serious identity crisis of who am I? Who is Luke? So although you have dreams to become a professional footballer, it's so important that your identity doesn't become too narrow and that you do have fun, you do have hobbies and goals outside of football. There's a sense where I was always quite lucky because I would say I was quite close with a lot of my family and friends. Nowadays I live with my girlfriend, so I've got that side of life and I really heavily prioritize that. But it's still hard, you know, when you spend all day every day training and you don't do that anymore, what do you fill the days with? I would challenge you to go join a club, start a different sport maybe pick up a hobby with a friend or family, go out to a coffee shop and speak to someone. They sound weird, they sound hard, but do it. Well, most footballers that quit just end up joining the gym. For them, that's their outlet and that's enough. But that can also lead to still keeping your identity very narrow. I really wanted to end this video off with like the biggest nugget of them all, the biggest piece of gold that I could give you. And I've been thinking a lot about what could it be, because there's so many lessons I've learned, and to top it off as one just seems almost impossible. But I would say don't be afraid to be different. People will laugh at you. People are going to try and clown you and take the mick out of possibly everything you do in life. For example, if you were to become an alcoholic and you spend all of your time at the pub, people are going to laugh at you and say that you're a bad person because you constantly drink. On the other end of things, if you cut out alcohol from your life completely, you're now a weirdo, you don't fit into society, and people don't want to be a part of, be around you, because alcohol is everywhere in life. So that just shows no matter what you do, no matter what end of the stick, the spectrum you sit on, people are always going to have a problem with you. What you need to do is be assured in yourself. There is only one of you in this universe. Be proud of that. Take advantage of your differences. Don't care what people have to say. Me personally, I love getting hate comments. Like, there used to be a couple people who made some like anonymous fake accounts of me and like taking the mick out of me. They rebrand my videos and just make me look like a bit of an idiot. I loved that. That was great to me, because the thought that I am on people's mind that much shows I'm doing something right. And the key thing is, when you start to put yourself out there and try and level up your life, people are going to take the mick. So it's important you keep that in mind. I would say just because you've grown up in a small town where everyone plays football, that's the standard if you're a boy, right? Don't be afraid to go and play basketball. Don't be afraid to pick up golf or swimming, or maybe not even a sport. You don't have to blend in with everyone else. You can be different. You are unique. Make the most of that. If you've made it this far in the video, I just want to say on the 2nd of January 2026, I'm not sure if that date is already passed already when you're watching this, but these tops that I'm currently wearing are being released. I've taken my life on much more of a self-development journey, and I sort of noticed that one, the clothing industry was broken and failed because people were overcharging for basic items, and two, for young guys especially, there's not really a community sense to the UK anymore. So I just wanted to do something to help us come back together. This clothing brand is only the start, but go and cop a t-shirt. They're such good quality. You don't generally get this good quality from any other brands, but they're a pretty cheap price considering. So go and buy yourself a t-shirt, tag us on social media, tag me on social media to show that you're part of this change, and we'll see where this takes us with time. That is all for today, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've watched this far into the vlog, I don't vlog anymore, mate. That's how addicted I was to this, you know. 3 years, I'm still saying it. If you've watched this far into the video, then I am going to be prioritizing YouTube a lot more going forward. I'm not just saying this is a New Year's resolution. I'm not going to quit after 2 weeks. I genuinely mean this as a long-term goal. I want to be part of this YouTube scene a lot more. So if you did enjoy it, make sure you go down, hit the subscribe button, come and follow me on Instagram, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.